What happened in Caramelo and why did it have me choking back tears? You guys demanded spoilers, so here they are. And if you hate spoilers, make sure you go watch this one right now on Netflix. Caramelo follows the story of a man named Pedro. He's an aspiring chef who suffers from these intense migraines. Not only that, but he also works under the pressure of having a very stubborn and not so nice head chef. On this particular day, there's a very important food critic who is going to be visiting the restaurant. And so the owner is begging the head chef to try something different, but he refuses. While this is all going down, Pedro is having another migraine, so he goes outside to find something quieter and avoid being noticed by anyone. That's when one of his friends comes to find him, concerned but eager to let him know, hey, this critic is here, so you need to get back inside. But little did they know, when they rushed back in, the door did not close fast enough. There was a mischievous little stray dog that followed them inside. Now at this point, the chef has just finished the most important meal of the night, the one for the critic. And as he's about to pass it off to the server, a little brown dog rushes in, consuming the entire plate and causing an entire commotion in the kitchen. Everyone is trying to catch him, but nobody can. So the head chef grabs this dough roller and tries to beat the dog with it, but Pedro steps in to stop him. He says, do not hurt him, and the chef's like, I can do what I want, this is my kitchen. But that's when the owner steps in and says, no, this is my kitchen, you're not gonna hurt that dog. And that's when the chef decides to quit, giving Pedro his opportunity he's been waiting for. That man steps up and starts telling people what to do left and right, and now he has the job. After this, he goes home feeling like he's finally made it. He's finally got everything he's been working for all this time. But that high is quickly taken down when he hears a little dog yapping outside of his apartment. And after some pressure from his neighbor, he brings the dog inside and makes him a little area. But then he gets another migraine and this little dog comes to comfort him, licking his ear. And that's when he falls asleep. But little did he know, he was going to wake up to his house being a mess. Like honestly, if it was me, it would have been my 13th reason. Not literally, but if you have a dog, then you understand what I mean. Realizing that he can't really take care of this dog, he takes it to a local boarding house. And fun fact about this place, he had a not so good start with one of the owners when he was driving to work the day before. You see, she was walking all of her dogs and he almost ran her over. But he's not there for the drama, he needs to give this stray dog away immediately, and that doesn't really sit right with the two owners. That's when he goes to the doctor afterwards and learns that his migraines were not just nothing. He sits down with the doctor and the doctor tells him that the reason for his migraines were because of a lump behind his ear, and that lump was cancer and it was only getting worse. In his own way, that little dog was trying to warn him that something was wrong. So Pedro gets the dog back and he names him Caramelo. And throughout this time, he tries to train him, but it doesn't necessarily go very well. One day, he is taking him for a little walk and Caramelo gets away, runs into a church, and that's where Pedro runs into a family friend. And as Caramelo starts howling to the church songs, he ends up asking that family friend to watch him while he's away. He doesn't necessarily reveal this to the friend, but he's going to chemotherapy. And this friend is very happy to do it because they think that this dog is a godsend. So day one, the friend comes and watches Caramelo. He goes to chemotherapy, which is kind of nerve-wracking, but he ends up meeting a really good friend, making this whole entire process a lot easier for him. But when he gets home, the house is ruined again and that family friend is ready to run out the door. So he takes Caramelo back to the boarding place. And the owners are really fed up with him because how are you going to abandon this dog again? And that's when Pedro clarifies that he's not dropping off the dog. He wants to put him through training, which Caramelo does the best he can, but it's not that much. Caramelo is Caramelo, and like I said, that dog was bad as hell. And throughout this time, Pedro and the owner Camila spark an interest in each other. But before he does anything, he knows he has something really important to do, and that is to tell his mother about what's been going on. So he takes Caramelo on the road to go meet her, but when it gets down to telling her what's going on, he gets too afraid and backs out. One thing you will come to notice about Pedro by now is that he's very avoidant of the hard things, especially when it comes to his condition. He's treating his cancer the same way he treated when he had those migraines, just taking painkillers and trying to push through. And don't get me wrong, he is not fully writing off the condition. He knows it's there, he knows it's bad, and he continues going to chemotherapy. But telling his mother or anyone else in the matter is not something he is looking to do. So instead he takes Caramelo to the beach, who ends up kind of going after one of the vendors selling floaties. And that is because one small cute detail about Caramelo is that he loves sharks and the vendor had a floaty that he wanted. And after this, he takes Caramelo into training with this adorable shark dog costume, and it was one of the cutest moments in the movie. And that's also the time where he decides to finally make a move on Camila. He does this by inviting her and her friend to his restaurant restaurant's tasting. And although the story kind of looks like it's going up from here, it only gets worse. While at this tasting, things take a downward turn. Someone walks in and says that there's hair in the food, and that's when they find out that that's Pedro's hair. His hair is falling out because of the chemotherapy. But then something else happens. He's starting to get a lot of complaints from the guests saying that the food is salty, which he denies because there's no way that it is. He just made it and tried it and it was fine. He tries it again, he says it's fine, but then his coworker tries it and she says, yeah, that is really salty. After this, he starts getting very dizzy and he's trying to cover it up as best as he can, but it only gets worse. Pedro suddenly collapses and is rushed to the hospital. Camila saw everything that was happening, and when he got into the ambulance, she told them that she was his wife and went with him. So when he woke up, she was there and assured him that Caramelo was okay. But before all of that, he ended up talking to the doctor and they said that he needed to do a very serious surgery, one that was so risky that any complications could change his life forever. So with no other choice, he ends up leaving the job and tries to make the most out of every moment that he has. He officially pursues Camila, and while they're together, he learns that she's at risk of losing the boarding house. So that's when he gets a very good idea, one that will not only save her business, but also help him keep his dream of becoming a chef. He drives to his mother's house again and finally reveals to her that he has cancer. And after this emotional moment, he asks if he could take his grandmother's food truck. And he and his friends transform this food truck into something very special. But that's when another setback happens in Pedro's life, and his close friend that he met during chemotherapy passes away. This loss hits him so hard, but he recovers when the doctor gives him a letter that his friend gave him. And this letter made him go 10 times harder in opening this food truck. And when they do, the entire community comes around, saving the boarding house and so much more. That first night is so successful, all Pedro wants to do is just bask in it. So when everyone's going home, he and Caramelo decide to stay back just to close everything up. But that's when another disaster hits. Pedro starts getting another migraine, and this time it's a very dangerous one. He collapses and somehow the stove catches on fire. Caramelo is trying his best to get him up, but nothing is working. So that's when he takes off outside and tries to find Camila. But on the way, he steps on some broken glass and hurts his paw. But that does not stop him. He keeps on going until he finds them. And that's where Camila and Pedro's mother realize something is wrong, so they rush back and take him to the hospital. And now Pedro has no choice. He can't put this off any longer. He has got to go through surgery. And thankfully, it is successful. The ending of the film shows a flash forward into Pedro's life. He and Camila get married, have kids, and Caramelo is there throughout it all. Fast forward some years, Caramelo is now 15. And by this time, he's a lot older and a lot slower now. And this part is kind of just like Pedro's love letter to his dog, thanking him for always being there in the adventures that they had together. And as they're sitting down together, Pedro decides to take Caramelo to the ocean, somewhere that he absolutely loved. He carries Caramelo out to the ocean and they stand there watching the sunset. The ending that I choose to believe it was is that it was just a moment where he really appreciated his dog. But with both Caramelo and Pedro being older, some might conclude that this was their final moment together. But that interpretation is for you to decide.